Hi friends, hello and namaste from India. This is Rakesh here. I hope that you are doing well today. Today I am going to show a demo of an Excel utility that makes waterfall charts like this in steps 1 to 3. You just have to click a button. I'm sure that you are familiar with waterfall charts. Just to refresh the concept again, let's go to the example sheet where we have two examples of budget variation and loss movement. So this is having a positive database, this is having a negative database. We start with a budget of 1000, petrol prices come down by 300, new budget is 700, further goes down by 250 by means of electricity. But then diesel and spend, there is an increase of 430 and 500 respectively, and hence the new final budget is 1380 as compared to the initial budget. Similar is the case for the loss movement as well. So this was more of a refresh for waterfall chart. Let's see how do we make the waterfall charts in the steps which I have mentioned in this sheet. Step 0 is basically the clean slate button. What it does is it cleans up all the charts and the data which you had entered earlier. So if I click this particular button, everything will be cleaned and it will display that it has cleared Microsoft Excel. The next step 1 is basically the launch data entry form button. If you click this button, a user form will appear which will have 3 field values to record the entries and one command button which is add to list. The first one is a drop down menu which is having 4 options to choose from, and starting column, this keyword is the default value for the first time when you run the project. The title of the column is something which you can enter as a number or a text. Value with signage, this is a numeric and number which you have to enter here with the signage of the database. So it's a positive database, then positive. It's a negative database, then negative values. Before I proceed further, I want to talk about these 4 keywords and why they are relevant here. Let me close this dialog box. Let's go to the example sheet. So here if I categorize all these columns among these 4 keywords, I would categorize them like this. So initial budget, this particular column is the starting column. This is, since it is coming down, this is a decrease column. This is again a decrease column. These two are increasing, so these are increase blocks. And this is the full column and the final column. In under loss movement, this will become the starting column. However, this will become the increase column because this is increasing the value of the loss by 200. So expenses 1 and expenses 2 are the increase columns, and saving 1 and saving 2 are the decrease columns. This again is the full column. So now that we have understood the relevance of these 4 keywords, let's go back to the dialog box. Let's click on this dialog box and start entering the data. The first column type has to be the starting column itself. Let's enter some values. Let's have this as the budget. Initial. Okay. Let's give it a value of 100. Add to list. Let's record another entry. So say yes. This time let's start with a decrease. Decrease of expense 1. And let's have a decrease of say 45. Add to list. Let's record another entry. This time let's have an increase in expense 2. Let's have this value as 60 and say add to list, and we'll record the last entry now. Say yes, and let's record the full column here. As soon as I exit from this particular field, you would notice that value with signage is taking any value. You don't have to put any value in this field because it will be calculated automatically by this utility. However, you can still fill in the title of the column. For example, this is the final budget. Okay, and say add to list. We don't want to put any more entry in this, so say no, and we'll proceed with the step number 2. Step number 2 will basically give you a preview of the entered data. So if you click this, a user form will appear. You will have to again click this preview button, and you can see whatever you have entered. So we have entered correctly. Starting column 100, decrease 45, increase 60. And the final one is full column. Don't bother about these zero columns because this utility will calculate the value of full column automatically. So close this dialog box and now generate the chart. You just have to click this button, and then finally the chart will be generated. You can now play with this. You can decrease these, you can delete these lines, you can delete these x's, whatever you want to do. You may or may not want to delete these. Now now that we have made one chart, let's make another chart with negative values this time. So let's clean the slate and launch the data entry form. And starting column this time, let's have loss initial. Let's have start with 1000 as a loss. Say yes. Let's see the loss has increased by say 300, or say expense 1, and it has increased by 300. Record another entry. Now let's see, the loss has decreased by means of some savings by the value which is 200, and add to list. Record another entry, the final one. Let's have this full column and say final loss, and add to list. Say no, proceed with the step 2, preview, correct. Okay, so this is how the movement has gone. So when you are looking at the preview of the entered data, if you find that the entered data is not the one which you had entered, then in that case you can go back to the clean slate step, which is step 0, and start the project again. That's all about this waterfall utility. I'm sure that you had enjoyed it, and I hope that you find it useful. You may also have a pit stop in between the values like this chart has. There's a pit stop in between, then there's a full column at the end of the chart. Folks, if you're interested in this utility, then you may write to me at rakesh.hp@gmail.com. That's my email ID. I am putting it up only for $5. I will be happy to share a demo version or a restricted version of this utility with you, and will look forward for any feedback from your side. Thanks again for watching this tutorial. Take care. Bye-bye.